Hi guys, welcome back to Real Talk, and in today's video we are going to be reviewing one of the most anticipated films of the year, Five Nights at Freddy's 2. The film that promised more scares and more lore, and in general more horror. But does it deliver? I will tell you. So Five Nights at Freddy's 2, it hit theatres with massive expectations from the fans. After the first film, huge fan driven success, the sequel that promised, more scarier animatronics, more lore, and more of a darker tone to the film. The trailers that they did put out and the marketing that they did put out for this film, it had the fandom buzzing. Hype was through the roof. People thought it was going to be 10 times better than the first film. And I have to say myself, yes, it is much better than the first film. I have to say that 100%. And people just wanted a film that really captures the atmosphere of the game. For this film, we return to a new location, and we also have parts with the old location, connected to the original establishment. There are new characters, returning faces, and a deeper look into the origins of the animatronics, and the haunting behind them. On paper, and what we've seen on trailers, yeah, it sounds great. We're getting more mystery, more horror, but the execution, well, we'll get to that. Alright. I'm going to start on a positive note, because this movie does have strengths from the first one, and there has been massive improvement. The designs of the animatronics was unreal. There was a part of the film where we actually had our first proper full look on how they brung some of these animatronics to life. I was shocked because they looked insane. They're creepy, they're expressive, and they just look like they've walked straight out of the game. My second point is the atmosphere is very strong. The set design, the lighting, and the sound all came together to create a generally eerie vibe. We had dark hallways where it did build some suspense. There was one part of the film that really did create really good suspense for me, and that was in the school, where one of the teacher scenes where they're walking down the hallway, that really built suspense. And when Chica, crushed his head, I felt like it was cool. It was more dark, and that's what we really wanted. I do have to say, for a letdown, is that we didn't see any gore, or we didn't see any, we saw blood in the film, but what we thought we were going to see. And I feel like the creators of this, they really created a film that really can relate to the fans. I feel like they added so much lore into this film compared to the first film, because yes, there was lore in the first film, but not as deep as the second film. And I feel like that's really good for the team. And I feel like that's a really good way to express their appreciation for the fans that, have been with the game for about a decade, which was when the first game came out. Now, I'm going to get into the parts where I feel like the movie wasn't very strong. And I have to say, the story, it's all over the place. The biggest problem is the script, in my opinion. It tries to juggle too many characters, too many plot lines, and ends up dropping most of them. It wants to be a mystery, a lore dump, a horror, and a teen drama all at once. And I have to say, the end result is messy, and I felt it really didn't really commit towards anything in the film. This film is labelled as a horror film, and I get it how it has been labelled as a horror film, but I wouldn't really consider it as a horror film. It wasn't scary at all. There were so many predictable jump scares, and the overuse of jump scares with loud sound effects, it was too much. I feel like using it the odd 2 times is fine, but I felt like there was more room for more creative ways to scare people. And I feel like they're trying too hard to mimic the games without creating a cinematic experience. And the thing is, it's kind of a war between the fandom and versus the critics. The critics view the 2 films as very messy and just overall bad. I haven't really seen a high score on Rotten Tomatoes about both of the films, but in terms of the fans, they're always rating it very high. But I feel like that's intentional, because the critics, they're not really doing their research towards the lore, and I feel like if they did know more of the lore, then this would have performed much more better. But I feel like to really watch this film, you really need to know the lore, and you need to know everything about the game. And I have to say, some of the fandom that I have seen online have just said that the writing is weak and the scares are very underwhelming. They say, yes, the visuals in terms of the animatronics, they look good. Yes, everyone can agree with that, even if you're a critic or you're just a fan. Critics see a broken film while the fandom sees it as a very strong film. I feel like this film did have more potential. I was walking into it with more of a high expectation. But after watching this film, as soon as the film ended, I looked to my mate and I said, this film just wasn't it. We went to see the first one back on release date, and we also saw this one on release date as well. And we both thought, you know what? It wasn't that good. We were expecting something so much better. I feel like they should have worked on delivering a film that scary to even people that haven't had experience with the game. I have to say, if you're not like a dedicated Five Nights at Freddy's fan, don't watch this film. If you're more there to, you know, see the cinematics, the visuals, I say don't watch the film, because it's all over the place. The story's all over the place. If you're going into the film and you're expecting a polished, terrifying horror movie, you'll walk out disappointed, and I would say a waste of money. For me, the movie lands somewhere between interesting and frustrating. It's not awful, but it's far from great. But guys, people do have like their own opinion with the films. Go search up Five Nights at Freddy's 2 film reviews, and people do a more of in-depth review about it. But I feel like for this film, I couldn't really have gone into more depth, because there really wasn't anything to talk about this film. There was not really a headline or a main focus of this film that I could talk about. I could go into depth. I feel like this film underperformed. But guys, let me know, what did you think of the film? Did it let you down? Did it meet your expectations, or did it blow you away? And I feel like if the next one's going to be their last film, they really need to step it up. The character story and the progression is just lazy. But anyway, drop your thoughts in the comments down below. Hit that like button and subscribe for more real reviews, more reactions, and real talk right here on Real Talk. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.